Gil Martin here. The Locked On Road to the NHL trade deadline continues. The Carolina Hurricanes have acquired Jesse Puljujärvi from the Edmonton Oilers in exchange for prospect Patrik Puistola. With me, Jared Ellis of Locked On Carolina Hurricanes to talk about this deal. And Jared, what were your initial thoughts when you heard that Puljujärvi was heading to Carolina?
Yeah, so I wasn't super surprised because, like I said a little bit ago before we started recording, this kind of been a trade that potentially been in the works for a while now, kind of since the start of the season. So to see it finally go through, not super surprising. And you know, he has a lot of chemistry with guys in the locker room from the Finnish national team, Sebastian Aho especially. So I'm hoping that that will kind of translate onto the ice. He can really pick up his production because, hasn't necessarily lived up to expectations there in Edmonton, with considering he was such a high draft pick. But Jesperi Kotkaniemi is kind of the same way in Montreal. Just needed a change of scenery. He's starting to come into his own. So I think he's going to be in a great place to succeed. It was a really good depth move. That was kind of one of the moves I was thinking the Hurricanes would do here at the deadline, a depth forward move, maybe a seventh defenseman, and then we're kind of all still waiting on that big splash of a trade as well to grab all the headlines.
Where do you see Puljujarvi fitting into the lineup? What line combinations do you think he'll be with, and how does he start off his career in Carolina?
So it's going to be really interesting. That was something I was thinking about this morning when I was preparing for this. I'm not 110% sure where he's going to slot in. Definitely not on the top line for sure. I want to say middle six, but I just don't know who would move. So I think maybe to start off, it may be down on the fourth line, and then as time goes on, he gets his footing under himself here. Then maybe we could see him rise through the lineup. That's where I'm thinking right now. Because Jesperi Kotkaniemi, he was the same way. Whenever he came in, he started there on that fourth line, and slowly but surely, he made his way up into the second line center role.
Do you think he'll see some time on the power play at all?
It wouldn't surprise me with as bad as the Hurricanes power play has been this year. I feel like, they're maybe not right away. Kind of let him get settled first and, get a few practices in and uh, work with whatever power play unit he's going to be with. I'm not sure. And then we'll see it coming in the game. Maybe in the next 2 weeks or so, we see him on the power play, but you never know. I could be totally wrong. I'm not sure if he's suiting up tonight against Vegas, but who knows? Friday against Arizona, we could see him on the power play. You never know.
You mentioned still waiting for that big deal. So many other teams in the Eastern Conference have made one or more blockbuster trades. What do you think the Canes are looking to add between now and Friday's trade deadline?
At this point, man, Gil, I don't know. Because you know, obviously they need a big time score. That was essentially going to be Max Pacioretty, like we've talked about before. With his timetable of injury, it's kind of right around the trade deadline. So that would have been the trade deadline acquisition. He's not here, or well, he's still here, but he just ain't playing. Uh, so they need a big time goal scorer, and everyone that I've thought, hey, they're going to go after Timo Meyer being the big one. Someone else is done, and you know, there's not a whole lot of folks left. I know, obviously, if you're gonna get good, you've got to give good in returns for the trades. So I'm not 100% sure who they're going to go after because everyone that they would have has already been traded.
Well, it should be an interesting rest of the week for the Hurricanes. Be sure to check out Locked On Carolina Hurricanes for more on this deal and anything else that the Canes do between now and the end of the trade deadline. And keep it dialed to Locked On NHL all along the road to the NHL trade deadline. This is the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.